Hey guys, Man here for another deck profile. And as you can see from the title, we are actually finally looking at BlackWargreymon X. Back when this deck first came out, my main focus was actually on supporting Gaiomon, because he's actually my favorite of that line, basically, from basically that set. But recently, as you saw from a recent post I did, I managed to win second place with this deck, which is really cool because my locals ended up becoming, what was it, Red Hybrid, Gallant, and like Cross Hunters, and then Beals just, because of the recent hit, oh man, it disappeared, and two of the people that I know that played Beals decided to switch to Red Hybrid. So with so much hybrid and just Tamer reliant decks, I was like, how do I deal with it? And then I forgot, and then I remembered, hey, there was a deck in the previous format that basically just said, hey, you're not gonna have Tamers, you're not gonna have a board. So I decided to go back to basics basically and go back to BlackWargreymon X, and as I said, I won second place because of it. The deck is still insanely strong, even with Greymon X to 1. This deck is still disgusting. You still run one copy of him, but you replace him with the old Greymon X, which basically does the same thing, honestly. It's just instead of detaching an X antibody, you detach stacks of levels, but it actually works better in conjunction with the X antibody stuff, so I feel that's actually better. Also with the new War Greymon, or not War Greymon, the new Metal Greymon, and just in general the Greymon line that has Raid, the deck is actually really insane. I managed to kind of like hold off Crossheart for like I think 5-6 turns when I only had like 3 security and they had full security. I was just slowly chipping away. Like I didn't actually even technically chip damage until I went into the spicy tech of this deck, which is one of the level 7s. That guy kept chipping, but every other time I wasn't even doing damage. I was just slowly waiting for them to run out of resources before I kind of started swinging. But yeah, let me just show you what I mean by the deck. So for the eggs, this being a Greymon deck, we are of course running the Koromon from BT9. This Koromon I still feel is the most solid because your whole deck is Agumon or Greymons, so you're guaranteed to get that 1,000. So I like just having this. It sucks that I don't have like the same art, but I have two of each, so it's not too bad. But yeah, that's the 4 eggs we run. For rookies, I know that we run exactly 12. Because we do not have the promo Agumon, we run the Agumon from the starter deck, which actually is not too bad. Funny thing is that with Raid, if I target security and then I switch targets, officially I do gain the plus 2,000 because I declared my attack on the security, which means I'm attacking the player. So I will get the boost during the attack, but because of Raid, I switched the target, so I still maintain that boost, which is really cool. So this guy actually has more utility now, aside from just the attack and the security. So really cool to run for if you don't have the promo like I do. I'm not willing to pay the money for that, so nah. Um, then we run 4 of the Agumon X. Agumon X is still really solid. The fact that he's a searcher and you can evolve it on top of Agumon to basically gain another. Basically, you're drawing one and then searching another card, so you're getting 2 cards in the process off of just one evolution. So really solid, and it doesn't really hurt to evolve it in raising either. So pretty decent. So I run 4. Then we run 4 of the new Agumon, the black red version from BT12. This guy is basically this Agumon, but he gets to search instead of just a Greymon or Omnimon. You get to grab a Greymon and a Taikamiya, which is really cool because you can set that up. Also, his inherent is really strong because it's all turns that this guy gains 1,000. I've been able to make like blockers that my opponent just can't get past, so really solid. But yeah, that's all the rookies that we run. We run exactly 12 in the deck. No more, no less. I have seen some builds running more, but I feel 12 is already pretty much like it's a decent amount without bricking, and it's kind of the standard number that we have. So I go with that for now, and the results speak for itself basically. For level 4s, we of course run 3 of the Greymons from the original starter deck. This one is the alt art from I think the recent Tamer pack from participating in the store's tournaments. But this guy is still really solid. The fact that he just gives security +1, he doesn't have any other effects aside from that, but that security +1 matters a lot now because a lot of decks like Crossheart and Red Hybrid can just check so fast that you just can't keep up. But with this, you're able to just like check in, then reboot, and just like trash and just keep doing stuff. So you have to at least run 3, maybe 2. I've seen some builds running 2, but 3 is still very solid. So I highly just recommend trying 3. Then I run 3 of the new Greymon, the black red version. Cool thing is that he still can, even though he costs 3, he has an alternate evolution clause for digivolving for 2 on top of Agumon. Agumon, the new Agumon also has that, but it's specifically on top of a Koromon, so you have to run Koromon for that. But the cool thing is that if you digivolve and you don't have a tie, you basically just get to play it for free, which is really cool. And then his inherit is basically the same as Agumon. You gain that extra 1,000, which is actually pretty strong in combination with this because you're getting plus 2,000. So your BlackWargreymon is already like 14,000, and then if it's the BlackWargreymon X, it's a 15,000 blocker already. So pretty strong. Then we run 3 of the Greymon X now that we have lost the new Greymon X from the last set. This is basically our replacement, but it's not really that bad because he's basically just as good or better in certain cases. So I like actually having 3 of him. Then we run 1 of the Greymon from BT5, the one that when you evolve on top of an Agumon, you gain back a memory. This one is just mainly there for that cheap cost evolution and the boost. It gives any Greymon on your turn that it's underneath and source wise plus 2,000. So really cool because then you boost your guy super high. I've been able to push BlackWargreymon X up to I think 18,000 almost every time that I swung. So really cool. Then, of course, we still run the 1 Greymon X. It really sucks that this card got hit, but if it didn't, this deck would literally be tier 0 like in Japan, so makes sense. But yeah, that's all the level 4s we run. We run 6, 9, 10, 11. Normally, we don't run that many, but I feel like with how it is now, you kind of have to, so that way you can see them. But yeah, solid lineup. For level 5, we run 3 of the new Metal Greymon. This Metal Greymon is so good. It evolves for 3 on top of any Greymon, and it has Raid, so you can target a unsuspended Digimon with the highest DP, and against Crossheart and or Red Hybrid, that's like super easy to do. And then all turns when a target is switched, you can just play a tie. So really cool. And then his inherent is also really important. You basically gain piercing if it has a Greymon or Omnimon, and both BlackWargreymon X and Gaiomon in this deck have Greymon technically in a way. So they will both get piercing and get their effects. So really cool. Then we run 2 of the Metal Greymon X. This guy is still really solid. I've been able to use him to pop boards, but the main thing you want him for is his inherent, which is really strong because with BlackWargreymon and BlackWargreymon X, you basically get to just unsuspend on their turn most of the time, especially if you block. So this will get you that extra trash, which is really cool because then next turn you can go for game with whatever you have in raising. So really powerful. And then we actually, this is the spicy tech. Shout out to my friend Steven. This profile is actually based on his build. I completely forgot to mention that. My bad, Steven. But yeah, this build is from my friend Steven, and he gave me this really cool idea to tech 2 Megadramons, especially as I mentioned that my locals is full of a lot of Tamer reliant decks. So having this as an extra like level 5 to pop stuff is really solid, and it honestly doesn't really hurt to evolve BlackWargreymon on top of this because when you swing with Black War, you get to pop a lot of Crossheart's Tamers, so it's really strong. I even started off a match by just evolving into this and popping a Tamer, and I didn't really care that I pushed out because I already had a rookie in hand and the line to basically just keep doing it again. So it's just really cool. Like even if he like puts this underneath a Tamer, I don't really care. So it's really nice having extra deletion on Tamers. So pretty sweet tech. And then we run 1 Metal Greymon. Metal Greymon is still very solid. But at the same time he costs too much, and the deletion effect doesn't really do as much as it used to. This was like right now in the current meta, it is decent, but it's not as good as the raid version. The raid version is just so much stronger now compared to this, especially because of how it gets boosts from all the Agumon and Greymon. So this is already like a 9,000 swing every time into their unsuspended, compared to this where you have to reduce its cost somehow. I've only used it once during the tournament, and it was okay, but I felt like after I did it, it didn't feel great. It felt better to go into this because it's just you get so many benefits off of just attacking, while this one it's just that attack, and then you have to evolve to get the other effect, which kind of sucks. So I feel running this at 1 now actually feels fine. It's better to go into that rather than this now, so it's fine to keep it at 1. But yeah, that's all the level 5s we run. We run 5, 6, 7, 8 specifically, so we have the exact number that the standard is, but if you want to change it, you could totally do it. I know some builds are still running 2 copies of this. I was running 2 copies of this until I saw my friend's build. I like that it's at 1. It feels solid, as I mentioned, and this I feel is better at the moment. But yeah, let's go into the level 6s. For level 6s, we are running 3 BlackWargreymons. This guy's still really strong. The fact that he can pop up to 6 cost, and if he deletes something, he just unsuspends, so that's just really strong. Specifically Digimon. If he deletes a Digimon, then he will, but not a Tamer. Just making that clear. But yeah, this guy's still very powerful. The fact that he's already 12,000, and with the boost from everybody else, he's gonna be big. He's gonna do a lot of damage. But yeah, then we run 1 Gaio and 1 BlackWargreymon X. I might bump this up to 1 more because this guy just felt so solid to go to. Every single time I evolved into this guy, it felt good to do damage. I think I only went into Gaiomon once, but it was to basically kill the really big guy, and that was about it. Most of the time I was going into this or this, and it just felt so solid to do that damage. It was fantastic. But yeah, still busted to this day. This guy just rebooting, deleting their dude. This guy de-digivolving and then swinging with Blitz. So good. And then with BlackWargreymon X, you're just popping so much stuff and deleting, and it's just really good. We actually do run level 7s, but it's not the level 7s that you might think. We're not running Omni. Well, actually, we kind of running Omni, but not the Omni you might think. We are running 1 Omnimon Zwart defeat because, as I mentioned, my locals is mostly full of Tamer reliant decks. So better to delete their stuff, and if they delete it, alright, I delete your guy. So really cool. Then for the spiciest one, 1 Quartzmon. Originally, the build that I got from my friend, Steven, he was running 2 Zwart defeats, but literally at the last minute, I was like, hey, what if I try Quartz in the deck? So I was like, okay, why not just put in 1 copy? This 1 copy of Quartzmon, also, shout out to my friend Brock for helping me grab this. He actually pulled this from his box, and he sold it to me. This card just clutched the match, like, so much. The fact, okay, so against Crossheart, I ended up basically pushing out this guy and deleting a Tamer, and then next turn, if we didn't go into time, I would have quartzed him. So the fact that this is just so strong against so many of the decks at the moment is just it's just bonkers, honestly, because we ended up against the person who was playing Crossheart. We basically ended up both summoning our quartz, and it was insane because we both locked our quartz to the point where we just couldn't swing. With how Quartzmon works, if there's a second Quartzmon, neither of them can unsuspend. So it's just this weird thing of them just sitting on the board and just looking at each other while other guys do their job, basically. But it's just insane how powerful this card is in this deck, because I never realized. I was like, oh, you can just evolve it on top of this, gain back all the memory, and if you have a bunch of Tamers, you're gaining so much memory back, so it becomes like a 3 to 4 cost evolution, so it's just really powerful. I highly recommend trying out 1 Quartz at least, and 1 Zwart, because it's just so powerful. You get to just stun their Tamers, and you get to delete their Tamers. It's amazing, honestly. Like, I cannot recommend it enough, honestly. That's all the Digimon for the deck. The rest of the deck is just option cards and Tamers. So let's actually get into that so you can see. So first, we are running 3 red memory boosts. This deck being mostly red, you do want to run this to basically see everything. The only cards that you will not hit are Omni and Quartz because, you know, green and white. But aside from that, you're basically hitting everything, and most of the time you'll be drawing these anyway, so it doesn't really matter. so it's fine. Then we run, of course, this being an X antibody deck, we're running 2 X antibodies. Pretty solid. I mean, it's X antibody. They hit it in security, you gain a memory, and you equip it underneath Metal Gray to, prot like Hades Force and other stuff. So still a very solid card to run at least 2. Then we run 2 Hades Force. This being my top 4 copy. Funny thing is that during the match with Crossheart, I would have actually lost game 2, but unfortunately my opponent swung into security with Superior Mode and hit this golden Hades Force, and it killed their quartz, allowing my quartz to unsuspend on my turn and go for a game, basically. So really insane. Hades Force is still literally one of the best cards, and I'm super glad still that Bondi didn't hit it, because it allows me to just wipe their board continuously, and it's so strong. And even if they hit insecurity, deletes one of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost, so you don't lose no matter what with this card. So really powerful. And of course, if you have an X antibody underneath one of your Digimon, you can reduce it down by 2 costs. It becomes a 5 cost, so it even makes itself cheaper. So amazing card. Then for Tamers, we run 2 ties because I didn't have a 3rd tie, so I only had to run 2. And then 2 Yuyas because we do need a memory setter, and one that gives boosts and immunity to options, so why not? And then 1 Nokia because I don't have that 3rd tie. Nokia actually performed pretty well. Like, there was actually a match where my opponent hit like the first security he hit was a Nokia, and it allowed me to play a Agumon X to basically search. So really strong. Yuya actually helped me out a lot, but I feel the MVP of this deck is Tai, because not only does he give the plus 1000, but he gives blocker every single turn. So basically, you basically always are guaranteed a blocker, and it also makes it so you do not have to run the old BlackWargreymon, which makes room for more of the Greymons, basically, which is really cool. Like, Tai, if I had a 3rd copy, I would honestly replace Nokia, but at the same time, Nokia is just so good. So it's like, I feel maybe the best course of action would be to like replace something else, because Nokia is just so strong. Like, everything else is really good, but just Nokia turned out pretty cool, so I just like having her at 1. Aside from that, this deck was really solid, as I mentioned. I didn't really brick that many times. I only bricked once in testing, but almost every single match I played with it, before the tournament and during the tournament, very solid. Like, especially now with mulligans, when I didn't see a rookie, I'd be like, okay, mulligan, there's a rookie, all right, we're good. And once I get that, like, the thing is with this deck, if you see a rookie in your hand, go with it. Go with that hand, because despite how bad that hand might look, I literally had a hand where it was just like 3 Agumon. I still managed to build the line. The line didn't have protection though, but I still somehow won with it. So it's just insane how good this deck is still, even with the hit to Greymon X. So I highly recommend giving this deck another look. I know that this deck was like the tier, well, not tier 0, but it was like the deck that everybody played. Well, now nobody's playing it anymore. Everybody's focusing on Beals, Red Hybrid, All Force, all those decks. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention about All Force. Yeah, there are a few All Force matchups at my locals, but I feel with Hades Force, it's pretty chill. Same with BlackWargreymon and everybody else. It's going to hurt them immensely. So, until my local stops playing Tamer Reliant decks, I'm going to be playing this deck alongside my friend Steven. So, until they change that and make the locals more diverse, this will be my deck for locals every week. So, that's just how it be. But yeah, for anybody that wants to, try out this deck, I highly recommend it. This is, as I mentioned many, 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 many times, this is a template for you to go off of. This is my own personal build, so it works towards what I want to do, which is delete Tamers. Delete Tamers and their whole board. That's the whole point. But that is what the deck does. But maybe you want to go in a different direction, maybe like focus more on Gaiomon, you can do it. If you want to focus more on like using Quartz or either Zwart, go for it. Because I want you to succeed with this deck, because it's a very, like, this deck, now that nobody's playing it, everybody's ignoring it. So you have a high chance of doing really well with this deck, because it's Greymon, and it's one of the most supported lines in the entire game. So you have a lot of stuff to work with and a lot of good power. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.